Okay, good evening, all. Today's topic is on network security protocols and best practices, one of the essential aspects of our life today. I understand in the last few lectures you have been introduced to cyber security, which is the major overall covers all those aspects, and network security protocols are a part of it. uh, all are connected and comes under the parlance of cyber security. And we will also, I will also expose you, give some examples of what are all the best practices we need to follow, because we are living in a digital domain, and all of us use in all, even our mobiles, our laptops, systems, iPads, everything. So how do we safeguard them? We will see at few examples, and we'll try to improve our discipline. I have planned this particular lecture I'll give a brief introduction, followed by the importance of network security. What are the common threats we see in this domain? What are the set protocols? Then some of the best practices and some of the recent case studies in cybersecurity incidents, and we will conclude. In briefly, to bring you into the context of cybersecurity, whereby you have been exposed to different subjects. Basically, in cybersecurity, particularly when it comes to defending a particular environment, here it is the digital environment. And this digital environment, as long as it is isolated, in the sense the infrastructure, the IT infrastructure is isolated, we need not worry. It is only a physical security we need to worry. Once we are connected, and in this era, we all are very closely coupled or connected to each other. Wherever we are geographically located, also virtually we are well connected. That is where the risk is arising. So that is where we are connected over network. And that network, what is it connecting? It is connecting all these devices. These devices are nothing but our IT infrastructure. So when we try to protect, our aim is to protect ourselves. So in digital domain, you need to protect the digital environment. What does it cover? So first of all, we should all know, suppose I want to protect myself digital. So I should know what is the digital infrastructure I am using. So that way, from an enterprise perspective or an organization perspective, all the computer infrastructure, storage infrastructure, IoT infrastructure, or BYOD device, carrying your own device, all these will come under this. Additionally, even at your home, you will have routers. Okay, then you come to enterprises, you all have this switches. Then you will come to proxies, reverse proxies. And when you are in a wireless network, you have wireless access points. Most of our network is, apart from wireless has bandwidth limitations, but large bandwidth organizations use optical fiber. Please be aware, all the digital infrastructure, all internet across the globe, across the continents, is traverses over optical undersea cables only. So that all is to be protected. Then when you come to an organization, you need to protect your entry point. It starts with the perimeter. Then it starts with under which you cover firewall, router, firewall. Then you need protection systems, detection systems. Then you come to the servers, identity management. Infrastructure we need to protect. If you are at home, your devices are less, but at home, your credibility, the more the name you have, or the more fame you have, the risk is more. Similarly, when you are working for an organization, it is not an individual, it is the organization's credibility at stake. It is the organization's fame which we have to protect. So that way, all these IT infrastructures we need to safeguard. And this is a typical example I gave as a layer in simple terms, starting from perimeter. Imagine an organization. Organization as a circle with different layers. Outer circle is perimeter. Then you come to network. Then you come inside data. So let us see what is network security. So in cyber security, I'm sure in the earlier classes, you might have been introduced to three important terminologies in cyber security. It is confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Any resource means any infrastructure, okay, or any data. If we can maintain meet the CIA triad, we call it three parameters. If we are maintaining it, we can say that the resource or the data is secure. This is the most simple way of saying the things. So what do we do in network security? It encompasses, it covers all the measures and practices we follow or we need to follow to ensure the security of the infrastructure and the underlying data. That is all the primary goal of network. The network security, information security, online, these all come under the overall umbrella called cyber security. So in this session, we will try to understand now how we will ensure the network security of a particular organization. Organization converts resources, IT infrastructure, as well as human being. So if I am working for an organization and if I learn to protect myself, I am not only protecting myself, I am protecting my organization, because human being is one of the weakest link in cybersecurity. So at home, if whatever you learn here, suppose you learn to protect yourself, to ensure your security, you are protecting your organization here, and at home you are protecting yourself. This same experience, same knowledge will be useful to you in the day-to-day life. So that is how it is a win-win situation for whatever you learn and implement at organizations also. In this, if you see, as I told earlier also, but only keywords I will keep highlighting again. You start with firewall, then you have the next layer is intrusion detection systems. Then at the end points, you use antivirus software. My PC, I will tell what is important. I ensure that antivirus is up to date. I ensure that as per security policy, OS is patched. So once I have done this, if I am doing any important communication, I will use a virtual private network. If it is a non-critical infrastructure communication, I will use normal. But in the process, using a secure communication whereby I am encrypting the data, what is it that we are achieving? Protecting my data, I am protecting my identity, and I am successfully communicating to somebody else who is outside the organization in a secure way. And when I am communicating, there are two things. I would be oral communication or I would be transferring the data. Oral communication is also packets. So ultimately, what are we ensuring? By maintaining its confidentiality, its integrity, and its availability, a secure communication is established. That is network security. Fine. What are the key objectives? So again, whenever you see, I told CIA triad, confidentiality, integrity, availability. We will try to ensure, we'll try to understand it in simple terms, so that after this uh, session, we minimum remember the basics of things and we try to implement in our day-to-day life. So as I told, you are important, human being is important, his data is important. Organization is important, organization data is important. To protect it, let us see it from a perspective of how does it match against CIA triad. Am I ensuring? Suppose example is I need to protect a file, data file. So I need to ensure confidentiality of that file. What does it contain? The file contains data. So how do I maintain confidentiality? Suppose person A only has authorization to access the data, person B should not be able to access that file. That ensures confidentiality of data. That is protecting information from unauthorized access. Next comes to the aspect of integrity. What does integrity come means? So data is there, data is transferring. So we cannot carry data over our hand, but data should not change in the medium. That is ensuring is integrity. How do we do it? Again, I will tell. Next, coming to availability. Now, once we are saying that, yes, the authorized person is only able to see the data is having integrity, but first of all, data should be available. Suppose the medium in which the data is being transferred. Simple example we all use at our homes, pen drives. Suppose the pen drive itself is not working. What happens to the data inside it? Lost. So ensuring availability of the data, the resources which are holding the data is also equally important. This is very simple example. Now let us see in simple words, how do you ensure confidentiality? By maintaining authentication mechanism, by maintaining secure communication channels, by maintaining access controls. This is how we ensure confidentiality. And we also add encryption. But where will encryption help us? In securing the data. That is where in maintaining the confidentiality of the data, it will be helpful. Next comes to integrity of the data. Now, data is traveled from location A to location B. Now, how do we say that the data is secure? That, that is, suppose when the data is being transmitted and I have a mechanism whereby I maintain a hash or I sign it digitally, or I maintain a checksum at location A, and when at B, somebody unknown person authorized receives the data. Now he has a doubt whether the file is authentic or not, correct or not, tampered or not. How will he know? If the digital signature is there without tampered, that is one way of seeing. But for every data, you cannot. For documents, you can have a digital signature. But for data, you need data valuation mechanisms like maintaining a hash and exchanging, maintaining private public keys, sharing the keys. These are the mechanisms. Then next coming to availability. How do you ensure availability? Now I took an example of pen drive, most easy thing at home. Suppose it is an important data. Okay. Then in digital, if it is important, I should not only maintain it in one medium, I should have a copy of it in another media also. Or I should be able to recover data from that failed media. All these steps involved in carrying out these activities will ensure the availability of data. So in the last 3-4 slides, we we have discussed about network security. How do we ensure? So two key terms, I would say only two things. Network security, CIA triad. Network security is to protect the infrastructure which is connected over network. And how do you ensure it? By following the CIA triad: confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Now going forward, authentication. That is to verify that person A is given the key, he only knows it and he only is using it. Authorization. 4-5 people are there, but role is different. Somebody has the main door key, somebody has the second door key, somebody has the vault key. This is authorization. Net monitoring. How do you monitor it? This is in an example. This you have to work within network monitoring. So it is packets are coming over network. So you need to detection system and you need a prevention system. That is how you monitor and ensure the security. What do we use in the process? Firewalls are one thing. Encryption of the channel, encryption of the data are the two things we use. And if some even after these measures, what is happening is it is a case of a typical case of a thief and a police. It never ends. The more technology is evolving, even the persons who are with a malicious intent, they are also upgrading themselves. See, it is like whether you are using in a positive way or in a negative way. That comes the point. So it is the same human being who is using. So some are using it in a positive way, some are using it in a negative way. So when they are using it in a negative way, you as a society have a moral responsibility to ensure that you protect yourself and the society against this malicious user of the same technology. And but still, once you fail, we call it in net security parlance, information or cyber security parlance, we call it an incident. Then we need to immediately act on it. We need to take corrective and corrective mechanisms. So that covers under incident response. And ultimately, as I told, and as already everybody now even world is following over, first comes if it is really critical, do not put it onto a common network and don't leave it. Maintain the physical security. But still you need to guard it. Guard it using another network for monitoring, using surveillance mechanisms and other environmental controls. If you are connecting over internet, you are accessible from anywhere over the globe and you are more susceptible. So if it is something critical, even in digital domain for you, try to maintain a level of isolation. That is it. So these are some of the key components of network security. Now we'll see to the importance. Why? What is the need of network security? It is ultimate to protect the information. It is to preserve the confidentiality, to ensure the business continuity of the organization, to prevent unauthorized access, protect against the cyber threats. And suppose you are an organization or you have established, one of you may over a period of time, if you establish a company, okay, and if you are doing, you are listed or you are registered, naturally you have to be registered when you are doing a public related activity, then you need to follow the regulations. That becomes regulatory compliance. Then you need to prevent your loss, financial loss, to protect yourself. Nobody does business for loss. Nobody runs an organization for loss. So these all we need to protect ourselves. Then we need to protect nowadays. Another important thing is our intellectual property, our legacy, our intellect, our intelligence transformed into some way. That all comes under intellectual property. That is where you call patents, all those. Then adapt to the evolving threats. Because you are in a society. You cannot say, I am 10, 20 years old, I cannot upgrade, I will not change. Society will not ask, wait, system will not wait, technology will not wait, world will go forward. So if you want to be along with them, you need to prepare yourself to the additional new threats also which evolve. This is where I told us that is the user, the technology falls goes to both kind of people, good as well as bad. So it's the bad. Now, what are the common threats and vulnerabilities? One we see. Let us see these things. See, threat, vulnerability. These all are, see, what are vulnerabilities? First, I will explain the right hand side part, and then you will see the threats. What is the difference? Vulnerability is a weakness in a system, in a mechanism, or in an operating system. Whereas, what will a threat do? Threat will exploit that vulnerability. Take example of a human body. I maybe every human body has a different organs, but everybody is not equally strong. Some bodies maybe uh, maybe their brain is stronger, somebody's eyesight is strong, somebody's maybe lungs are strong, somebody's stomach is very healthy, kidneys like that. But for example, if I come to the case of lungs, suppose my lungs are relatively weak in my body because of my genetic case, then I am more susceptible to pneumonia. So this virus, which we call the word there also, will exploit our weakness. Suppose my lungs, I am an individual who has relatively my lungs are strong. My probability of getting pneumonia are less or flu is less. That is as simple as that. So vulnerabilities we will see in an IT domain, outdated software, unknown bugs in the software, weak authentication, unsecured wireless network. We all see free wireless network is there, we start using, but always be careful. Ready for looking out for your system password. Wireless is free. He is also using the wireless network. Now you have logged into your account. He is interested in your account to know your details. So that is, be careful when you are using unsecured wireless network. Then lack of encryption. That is why anybody, when they are working from home for organization, they can generally go over virtual private networks. That is encryption channel. Then inadequate access controls, poorly configured firewalls. It's a human mistake. Then default credentials. We don't like remembering passwords. We keep 1234, 123. Very easy things we keep. That is, he will guess and even penetrate into. Then misconfigured network devices, unauthorized applications. We think somebody malicious actor also will create an application and put it. We think it is in similar. We think it is genuine, and we start using it. Over. All our information is captured by him. Then insecure protocols, physical security lapses. These all are some of the vulnerabilities in an IT domain. So what is happening? These vulnerabilities are exploited by different groups of people. Okay. And with that vulnerabilities, the way it is exploited or which vulnerability is exploited is given a different name. And that exploitation of vulnerability is a threat to the system. So, what are the different types of threats? Malware, malicious software, phishing is a malicious mail, denial of service. Suppose you have established a company, you are getting fame, somebody wants to object it. What they will do? They will pump with multiple requests, whereby your server is not able to handle. Nowadays, who will come and see where your shop is, where your company is? Your website is your representation. So once with multiple requests, your server is not able to handle and it will stop responding. Over. It is denial of service. Man in the middle attack. Two people are trying to communicate. Important data is being exchanged. In between, somebody has come and he has in trying to tamper and know the information. That is man in the middle attack. Insider threat in organizations, that is always there. This I need not. You all are in seen. You all have gone through your other subjects in your school or in your college, where you have seen many times that kingdoms have fallen down because of insider threat. That's it. 0 day. Now this comes. This is something is which we have to explain in IT. You write a software, very good. It is working fine. As soon as people are following this, the way you have told it is working, you feel everything is. As long as a bug or a weakness is not found, you are fine. Suppose some vulnerability in your software is found and it is not declared or declared by the OEM, original equipment manufacturer. For example, for operating system, Windows is one original equipment manufacturer. So what do we do? But the malicious actor has identified that weakness and he has started using. That is called a 0 day exploit. Because whatever I am developed, OEMs or companies have developed, when there is a threat, they are even releasing patches. But before that patch is released, if others are exploiting, that is 0 day exploit. Password attacks, guess, that is called brute force. That way there are different mechanisms. I can write a software to continuously try different combinations and break. For that, if my computing power is more, I can quickly break it. My computing power is less, I will take more time. I will further explain on this more. That is there also, which is changing with the time. Then network spoofing. You think he is using my IP address, but he has virtually spoofed it and he is sending requests from another place, or he has spoofed my IP. You are thinking you are landing your request on only server A, but actually it is A dash. That is network. Then DNS spoofing and poisoning. That is now small. I'll try to explain in a simple terms. This all world in internet, they are interconnected. So when they are internet interconnected, you need to know domain names. Domain names means the URL of your organization, example, or your website. But where it is mapped, who will maintain? That is maintained by DNS. Means name xyz.com. To which server it should go? IP is to be known. that mapping is maintained and exchanged globally over DNS. But some people try to exploit that and redirect you to other things. That is DNS spoofing and poisoning. Then Wi-Fi attacks and physical layer attacks. Physical layer attacks is like physical war. Once that is done, the device itself is physical damage. So only way to protect it is maintained by a disaster recovery copy, DR copy. Okay. So these are common threats and vulnerabilities in a network system. Now, keeping ourselves to the topic of network security. So in networks, there is something called as OSI layer. Though it is not TCP/IP is the practically used, but this was one of the layers which was initially evolved. Okay, it was invented. Then people have worked, and this is the standard which it follows. So it is divided into 7 layers, and I have given an example as each layer. What is the functionality and what are the protocols? You may this will help you in understanding the role of each layer and the different protocols or standards followed at it. For example, in simple terms, I will start from the top, outermost application. Okay, application layer is means functionality is also an application. Example, email, file transfer. What are the protocols used? HTTPS, FTP, or SFTP. As I will keep it simple on. Example, layer, application layer. As per the name, this is where the applications work. Okay, and the protocols examples used are HTTP, HTTP. Next comes the presentation layer. What is presentation layer? It provides encryption, code conversion, data. What are the protocols? JPEG. You might have heard. So simple example. MPEG for movies. Session layer. It negotiates at from one computer to the other. The negotiation and establishment of the connection with another computer happens as this layer. What are the examples of this? SQL, SCP, okay, secure copy, NFS, network file transfer. These all are the examples. Then transport layer. It ensures the end-to-end delivery between of data. And what are the protocols? TCP, UDP, SPI. Where is TCP/IP used? This is one of the standard protocol used for communication between our network. And where is UDP used? For real-time applications. Okay, UDP is used whereby acknowledgement is not there. For example, real-time transfer of that uses UDP. Real-time transfer of file, it uses TCP/IP. It ensures the handshaking and reliability and integrity of the data. In UDP, that is not needed. But it ensures that packets keep pumping and you are live, you are able to see it. Then next comes to the network layer. What does it perform? Routing. So these all are routing packets, protocols. Okay. Then one of the simple one which we use is ICMP, which is the command which uses ping. Ping uses ICMP. Data link, it provides error checking and transfer. Example, Ethernet. So whatever our VC cables, Cat 6, 6A, 7, 8, these all are Ethernet cables. Nowadays, you see, for a student right now, it is enough to understand if we know one is Ethernet, one is fiber, then the other is satellite. But when it comes to wired network, two things are important to know: Ethernet and fiber. Ethernet is nothing but a protocol which is used for transfer of data over one type of media, where we can call it as category 6, category 6A, 7, or earlier 5 and 4. So this is where works at data link layer. Now coming to the physical, this is where the actual cores are there. Okay, physically interfaces with the transmission media and sends over. This is RS-232. If some senior students are there at a higher level in laboratories, they might have seen that this is how the actual protocols have evolved. 232, 449, and then it went into IEEE. That is, these 232, 449, they have were in the shorter distance communication. But when invention happens, you do in a lab, small things, smaller distances. When same technology is to be application or work is to be carried over longer distances, the protocol changes. That is where IEEE 802 and all. Okay, our, for example, simple thing is our Ethernet is also 8.2. So in this, I have given you an example from networks perspective. They are our OSI model perspective, 7 layers, and what is the simple functionality of each layer, and what are the protocols or standards used followed at each layer. Try to understand that so that you can easily remember what is the role of the layer. Example of one protocol. That's it. The same I have presented in a different way, and I have mapped it to what are the threats examples I have taken. So if you see the previous slide, our layers are same. Here I only introduced you to the protocols or standards, but in the next slide, I am again going forward. These protocols or standards, which is the second column here, how is it used is already seen, and how is it exploited by the malicious threat actors is what it is written here. So though it may look like repeat, the last part is the actual threat or exploitation happening in the system, in the world. So at this now reverse I will start, because we have started from our OSI model from layer 7, outermost layer. This we will start from physical layer so that our understanding will further improve. So this is the physical cable. What does it do? It transmits data. Data is nothing but bits. Thus, the granular list ends with bits. Below that, if you go, it is physics. Okay, this being a network security class, I am not going into the physics of the bit, but we are saying transmitting bits. A byte is 8 bits. So that way, transmitting bits. And what is the risk there or the threat there? Environment and physical, like dust, water, rodents. In fact, for fiber, the gel which is used for covering and maintaining, that is a attracts rodents also. Or Ethernet cable. Rodents, if you don't take protection, they will bite any cable. So that is one of the risks. Next comes to the data link layer. In networks, example is switches, L2 layer switches. What does it do? Physical addressing. Where is it used? Since it is only L2, it is used in local area network. What can somebody do? What are the risk or a threat there? Using default password of the switches. Okay. Using old firmware or misconfiguring the switch is something which we can do. Address spoofing will not come here before, because you are within the LAN. So within the LAN, generally, unless you have an internal threat, you spoofing does not take, because you will definitely easily identify who is doing this. So that is not a bigger threat at lower at LAN level. But next comes to the network layer. Network layer is L3 switching. L3 switching has the capability of routing. That is why L3 switches and routers are similar. And there you enter into the wide area network delivery. There comes all these password firmware misconfigured, but spoofing and smurfing also will come into picture. Okay. Next comes to the transport layer, where we had told that the end-to-end communication takes place. Now, what does it do? It uses two types of protocols, we told. Simple way. TCP and UDP. And what does it do? Sync flooding is one thing. RIP is another attack. So these will end-to-end communication. Next comes to the session layer. In session layer, as I told, I don't whether you people, NFS is a network file system. It's a shared protocol which is used in enterprises. SQL is a query. So the remote protocol is another one, RPC1 communication. So process to process communication happens at this layer. Next comes to the presentation. It is what is it? It is in the format, that is JPEG, MPEG, PNG. It is the presentation. Application is the final one. There you say, suppose I am doing a web service. Web service is over port 80 HTTP. Secure port is HTTPS 443. Suppose you are Similarly, hosting a server, file transfer server, FTP 21, SFTP port 22, more secure. This is how user will communicate with the different applications at this level. And at these top three layers, what are the different types of this? If you see, we will see ransomware at the last, but virus, worms, malware, botnet, killer, all these are different malicious programs which has been given different names because of the way they exploit, and their job is to disrupt the environment, operational environment. And ransomware is one more step forward where you have disrupted the environment of an enterprise. Furthermore, you are asking ransom for the data you have encrypted or the data which you could take it back from the user, and you are taking him for a ride, saying that unless you pay this much money, I will expose all the data which I have taken from you, and I have already encrypted you. If not, if you don't pay the money, your data is encrypted, and if you don't have a backup, what is my situation? Or total data is lost, total systems are down, and I will take a lot of time to bring back my services. This is one of the recent domains, recent generation, or in the last 1 decade. These all threats are known for many time, but people, malicious actors also, earlier they used to suppose it is something like kidnapping. You kidnap, but if you don't ask any ransom, that is one way. You have kidnapped, but unless some amount is given, you are not releasing is one thing. And after kidnapping, you are asking for an amount, you are receiving again, but you are killing the candidate. These are the different threats which has evolved. Everything comes under ransomware. See, what have the malicious threat actors done is they are stealing the data, encrypting it, so taking you for a ride. Even if you pay it, fine. Even if you not happy with your payment, what they are doing is they may leave it your encryption, but with their backup data, they are releasing it in the back end. They are selling, because of which all your customers' data is exposed. It is a data breach. In digital era, data breach is very, very, very important. What happens is our digital identity is important. Digital breach means digital identity is compromised. So maintaining the digital integrity of the data which you are having, maintaining secrecy of the customer data which you are having is very important. And in India also, this is being coming up. I will not diverge into that, but there is something called Data Protection DPDP Act, okay, which government is also trying to strengthen, but it is not as strict in some other countries. This is something you can, from this different layers, different threats, and latest ones which people are taking, the malicious threat actors are taking the good people or high-end customers, enterprises, individuals for a ride is ransom. This much, if you understand, good enough for session. So, of again, I will show you this. I have taken an example of 4 protocols. Then, if you see here, there are so many protocols written. It will be like we will not divulge too much into everything, but of some of the important protocols, we will bit more we will discuss so that your understanding will improve. Of this, we have taken 4 use cases: secure communication protocols, encryption and decryption, then authentication protocols, and key exchange protocols. As an example, I will discuss 4 types. Now, what is this secure communication protocol? TLS. TLS is one such protocol which is used for secure communication from one computer to the other. So naturally, they are over the computer. At which layer does it operate? This I have already told, that transport layer. Now, how does it work? What is its example? Is what it is written here. But what is the primary goal of it? Is to secure the communication over a network. So what does it contain? It contains a secure handshake protocol, a record protocol, and important thing here is cipher suits. Means this comes under the subject of cryptography. In cryptography, which type of encryption
hash or key exchange algorithm we are using will, the more complex the key, the more time it takes for the malicious actor to break your encryption and to understand your data. This is not the first time it has happened in digital era. Before that also, in the beginning, during World Wars also, you used to use code. Okay, encoding we call it. So that coding is nothing but the preliminary level of encryption. One country and another, they have formed. They don't say, for example, hello is not HELLO. They use some other characters. So that way is one level of encryption. With the time, it has taken and it is evolving because nowadays we are using computing power to break that algorithm. So the algorithms have to become, as computing power is increasing, the older algorithms have to be left behind, new algorithms have to be tested, invented, used, so that the we are able to protect our data. As simple as that. Example, X5.9 certificate that authenticates the identity of communication. This is all in commercial communication. These are all the things used. This TLS also version 1, 1.1, 1.2. Now it is 1.3. Suppose what will happen if I use 1.1? All known vulnerabilities, even the malicious actors use, they will exploit it. That's all. Risk is you will be more prone to threat. So where is TLS used? TLS used in HTTPS communication, the secure web communication, to maintain confidentiality and integrity. Where is it again used? Email communication. In when you are configuring a email server, again you use TLS. When you are configuring a virtual private network, again TLS is used. When you are configuring a secure file transfer system, again TLS is used. So this transport layer security is an important protocol which is used during further used in HTTPS, email, virtual private, means in different applications it is used. That is much you have. What is the latest version of TLS? 1.3. What does the difference between 1.3, 1.2, 1.1? The backend algorithms which are there here, that keeps strengthened in the newer algorithms. What is the best practice for TLS? As I told, you are hosting a server. Okay, port 80, less secure. HTTPS. So ensure HTTPS. Then how do I do? TLS also keeps upgrading itself. Like I told, 1.1, 1.2, 1. You need to update so that the older known vulnerabilities are not used, fixed. They are fixed and you are not keeping that backdoors open. Then cipher, the encryption keys, you are using the latest ones. Audit. Audit always in security, it is like uh, audit to ensure that whatever you have configured following is proper and there is no known, I will only use the word, there is no known potential vulnerability. Okay. That is why tester is also paid. Why do you have software testers? Their job is to find vulnerabilities in a code. And how TLS? So another important practice I would advise is all the future developers who are listening that in the beginning stage itself, coding stage itself, try to bring or use this so that your code is more stronger. Another thing is IPsec. This is another protocol which is heavily used in industry. A comprehensive suite of protocols that provide secure communication. There we used TLS. TLS is based. Then now this IPsec is used basically mostly in virtual private network. Where was TLS used? TLS is used when you are communicating over a network, but it is not in virtual private networks only. It is when you are going for web hosting, email communication. Okay. But IPsec is primarily in virtual private networks, an additional protocol which is used. And what does it all comprise? Authentication header, encapsulation, security payload, security access, key management. In simple terms, I will not go into this, but whatever is here, you may read. In the meantime, I will simply example say that suppose person A or in enterprise A and enterprise B are trying to establish a VPN communication. So then we need to both decide through a different media. We need to say that what should be our header, what is the payload ESP we follow, what is the security association, okay, parameter, how much do we keep, and what is the key we use. Suppose these two are exchanged between us, and I configure my system at A in this way, you configure your system B, which is in somewhere else in the world. Now A and B, based on these parameters which are configured, will be able to communicate with each other over a virtual private network in a secure way. If the authentication header or ESP or SA parameters are different, A and B will not able to talk. That is why we both need to sit, understand, based on our firewalls, our routers support, we need to converge. Yes, these are the configuration parameters. Example, 4 components here. For component authentication AH, we will use this is value, ESP this, SA this, then, and what is the key we exchange. Then A will configure his firewall or router in this way using this parameter. B also the similar way, similar, not same. Then both will be able to handshake. And you can be confident that you have established a secure VPN. That's it. For you to remember as IPsec. What are the further modes? Transport mode, tunnel mode, based on the type of. Suppose I want between end to end coming to host, I use transport mode, and tunnel mode is used to secure communication between in VPNs over network. And IKE is also another key exchange parameters, which is a part of our 4 parameters which we have discussed earlier. So when you are handshaking between two entities or two entities, you need to understand what are all the parameters which we follow, and accordingly we should go ahead. Otherwise, what will happen? A is assuming his own parameters, B is assuming his own parameters. Both will never converge and never be able to communicate. What are the scenarios? Means use cases, deployment scenarios, site to site VPN, that is fixed point A to B, remote access VPN. I am a hosting, any ABCD can access. It is not a site to site, but only when required over remote, it will like a remote VPN connected. Router to router and host to host. As I told earlier, this is how you can establish IPsec connectivity. And challenges, the configuration, as I told, when so many parameters, while explaining itself, 5, 6 parameters I am explaining. So between two different organizations, it takes some time to configure, because it is not necessary that A and B are using the same make of device. It could be different, but it is possible. It will take time to converge. Next comes to interoperability, because they are of different makes. You need to be able to work. Overhead, naturally, when so many parameters are configured, my data is 100 bytes. To protect it, I am adding another so many bytes. So overhead is more. And key management is important. If key is lost, anybody can open your lock. As simple as that. Okay. So we have seen 2 examples. I will come back to this slide and summarize for you, then take forward. In this, in secure communication, 4 examples of major security protocols. Secure communication is important. We have discussed a bit on TLS and IPsec. Next, we will go to the forward. Authentication. What are the different types
Hello.
fine. Sorry for this interruption. Part of practical life. Yeah, we could get back. And mm, we were looking at some different types of protocols in that we have just now discussed on TLS and IPsec in some detail. Then we came to the next one, where is authentication. We were discussing of different types of authentication. As I was explaining, password-based authentication, whereby uh, uh, then multi-factor authentication. In password authentication, like login username, your mobile has a password. Now, whether this is something you all know. In multi-factor, what we use it apart from our login during through another mechanism, for example, OTP. In addition to my own password, if I am using OTP, for example, this is what we use for any logging into a bank account online, or when we are doing any payment. Apart from our mobile password, I need to enter even my GPay password once more, in that way. That is multi-factor. Then this is also something where anybody can guess and take it forward. So what has evolved is using biometric authentication. Here what happens is either your some part biometric is a human natural one. So either it could be your iris, your face, your thumb impression. So sort of this. For example, we have in our Aadhaar, apart from we all have given our biometric data, which that will help that will be useful in maintaining the individual identity. That is also one level. For example, in false also you have some have face detection, some have biometric finger, that way. Okay. Apart from that, in communications, when I am hosting a web application, uh, certificate based authentication also is an important thing. This is something nowadays, apart from digital signing, you use digital certificates also. So all these sort of things are different ways, different ways of ensuring the authenticity that comes under the subject of authentication. Now, what are the different protocols? This will be something, with my experience, I have seen we generally don't see all these words at home, okay, but they are used very much in industry, in enterprise, in an organization. I will try to explain in a simple way. Okay, I will try my best. Kerberos. What is Kerberos? I have taken some example. It is used for validating clients or servers during a network employing a cryptographic key. Okay, these are something invented by people. We are using them, so those words are in that. LDAP. LDAP is directory as a server. Suppose you want to log in, you have a centralized authentication. Then you use LDAP, lightweight directory access protocol. OAuth. OAuth promotes limited access to the user through an HTTP service. Okay, it is an authentication token based. Token based, like something called an SMS based. Nowadays SMS. Earlier it was token. Okay, because now everybody is having a mobile. Earlier it was only tokens used to come. Okay, those days were there. Then security assertion markup language, XML based authentication, which provides authorization between identity provider and service provider. Okay, suppose I am providing, I am representing, I am working for an organization. My organization is providing a service, but this I used some certification authority who is validating my identity. So this ensures the authentication of that. And radius is also generally within in an enterprise very heavily used. LDAP and radius are commonly used. Okay, and it provides sufficient central authentication, accounting and for the users that use network services. Basically, LDAP, radius, these all are authentication protocols. Suppose you want to log into your I will take a simple example of a mail server. So when you are logging into your mail server, you will need a mail ID and a password. Now, where is this maintained as a lookup? It will be either in your radius or a LDAP. The same, suppose you are using this for access control. Again, you can maintain the same product. You can use and you can configure your access control system using the same things. So you are using these as remote authentication. That is the simple way of understanding. I have given you a case where for two examples, use cases, we have used a central authentication mechanism. Okay. Next, we'll see some of the best practices. Yeah, because what we have seen here is, we'll go to this slide.
What we have done, we will say, we will discuss briefly. See, what we have done, secure here, if you see at horizontal layer, secure communication using different protocols involving encryption, decryption are a part of it. Then authentication protocols. These radius, tag hacks, these are important. What do they exchange? They are key exchange protocols. So as an example, what is the main protocol? What is it mainly dependent on? What are the another main second case? And what is it mainly dependent on? So these were the four key blocks which I have showed, which are two of them are interrelated to each. And all four are interrelated overall, loosely coupled. We use the word. Because these words are something in theory it will be there and practically also used, but not in day-to-day life. Okay, now we have come out of, we have looked in depth at security protocols, some of the security protocols, how are they implemented? Okay, and then we are moving forward at, let us see as the best practices. So what do? I told is an enterprise firewall is at the perimeter level. So it protects from unauthorized penetration of or access of any external connectivity. Then what is encryption? Communication is happening. You cannot keep it in plain text. You have to convert it. Like we have done some encoding. That next level is encryption. Then what another way, what do we do? Regular software update is important so that known vulnerabilities are not. Then other one is intrusion detection and prevention. Segmentation physically is one of the easiest way of maintaining it. Regular audit and monitoring. Strong authentication. To the public, that gives a confidence to the user also. So some, not in that depth, but the way I have been speaking, because this makes life easy in understanding. What are the different best practices of network security? It is implementing effective network security as a combination of practices, policies, technologies, and ultimate aim is to safeguard the individual or the organization from potential threat and vulnerability. What is this? This is one way which I have been discussing. People use different jargons, but they have said is network defense in depth. That is a layered approach. It is like I have given you front main. You everybody generally all houses have a gate. Then you have a main door. Then you have for a doors for all your important rooms. Why? That is defense in depth. Similar thing is here. In networks, we will see from one layer to the other. What is the outermost layer, or what is it that done here? This particular is in a layered form. Threats, advanced threat protection from outside, then intrusion detection prevention, web security, email, forensic analysis, data loss, next generation firewalls, and SIMSO. So all these will help us in maintaining the network security. A layered approach. Okay. So, in as an example, in this particular product diagram, different product examples are given. That's all. What is it's a SIM event monitoring and next generation. These all are different names only. These are only examples. There are many more products which have come, which keep changing. There will be some commercial, come open source also. Okay, but anything which is really high end, generally it is not free. They what the OEMs or companies do is they give a free version and a priced version also. In priced version, most of the things will be up to date and more strengthened, which is used for enterprises. For smaller levels, we can use with open source. Okay, then let us understand some more infrastructures which I have used in the beginning. That in the block diagram I have already used, so I will not define, because this in net also you will use. It is, see, what we are trying to see is we started with the network infrastructure. We have gone the threats, vulnerabilities we have seen at the layer level. Then next forward, we have seen some of the protocols in examples. And then in the previous slide, we have even seen the best practices. So when you are following best practices, again, I brought this particular slide to ensure that where are the best practices applied? You have to apply it over your infrastructure. So what is that infrastructure? Some basic infrastructure used is what I have defined. So, but this is the similar one in a different way. Why I am again, because here this is not a practical class or a enterprise level class of thing, but here we need to understand the concepts. So the important things is what I have highlighted. See in this diagram again, what are the how do you protect? Again the same, the layered approach: firewall, IDS, IPS, and NAC, network access control, filters, proxy servers, DDoS, load balancers, spam filters. All these in a standard enterprise, all these devices will be there. Why so many is one of the common layman question, because you are protecting yourself in a layered manner so that even one is compromised, the next layer of protection will help you. That's all. Because when you are working for organizations which have fame, which are prestigious to the country, you are always under threat. Suppose myself as an individual, if I am at home, nothing, I don't have any tag, I say I am X. Nobody is bothered about X. But if X is some some player who has fame, reached fame. There are players who have play very well, but everyone will not get fame. There are many actors or so many people. There are so many politicians. It is the famous people which malicious actors will be more interested in. Why? Everybody is not behind money. Somebody wants to say that, see, I could breach him. I could breach his security layer. I could get his confidential information. That gives him satisfaction. What will satisfaction he get if he breaches the security of a normal person X? Nothing. So for any good or bad, you need to motivate yourself. What are the motivation parameters? Some want fame, some want self-satisfaction, some wants money. That is the way. And how do we protect? We use firewalls, we use IDS, IPS. This example, I will take half a minute more so that you will start getting a feel. This is the internet. In a typical enterprise scenario, this is internet. Then the line lands on a router. Then you have a firewall on the internal side. Then you have the local area network. So here I have the host. That is my PC. In PC, I have an maintaining up-to-date operating system, having antivirus. Then at switch, I have network access control. Anybody cannot connect into my switch. There is something which alerts. Then when I am going out, I have a firewall which is protecting malicious outsiders from connecting to me, but it is allowing me to connect to the site I want. Then I have a router which maintains both and ensures the connect is fine. And then I reach the internet. Now, where are IDS, IPS, firewall? These all come under this red box. Firewall is old generation with IDS, IPS added. They become next generation firewalls, or they have become unified products. And where is NAC? This layer. Where are web filters, proxy servers? And they are in this layer here between LAN and firewall. Anti-DDoS is established at router. There we put a DDoS. There is a device. Okay. Then between firewall and router, DDoS device. Load balancers to, if an enterprise has 2 minutes, for example, Google. So many of us hit Google. Will Google run with only one server? No. They will have multiple servers distributed across the world. So they need to balance, because every Google backend server should give the same result. So they are balancing the load and maintaining it in backend. Then filters. Where are the spam filters? For example, suppose I had an email appliance here, I will have a spam filter which will protect. So this is an example. Segmentation. The easiest way, the safest way is less control, less secure, medium secure, and high secure. That way you segment it. Even firewall, this is the what we use: public network, demilitarized zone, private network. Whenever I am hosting a web server, I should put it in DMZ. My browsing client should be in private network. My hosting server should be in DMZ. Where is the end user normal client? Is in the public network. That, okay. If you want to have higher thing protection, use dual firewall strategies. Next, going forward, network address translation. This is more technical, but in simple terms, I will try to explain. Suppose we have a good here. I told you in this single firewall strategy to explain, to understand the concept of NATing. Suppose I have a server here. My server will have, is it hosted in directly public? You never host any server or system in public network because it is very susceptible. Anybody can access. So what you do? I am hosting an application, my organization web server. I will put it in DMZ. And what will happen? It will have an internal IP through which I can update the web server, I add the content, change the content, everything. But that is only internally accessible on my left hand side. Address translation. This internal IP is netted to a public IP and then it is accessible over to the external users. That is all which is explained here. 192.168 is a private IP segment. 98.117 is a public IP segment. So somewhere I have to NAT it. I do it in the firewall. Then to an outsider, I am accessible over 98.117 as an example. And to the internal, I am over 192.168. This is called as network address translation. Why is it is done? It is done to protect our system from undue, without exposing us. How do we serve the public is done during network address translation. If public addresses are less, then what do we do? You need to buy it. You just cannot. Even homes will not have. Every home, every router, every PC will not have. It has only dynamic public IPs. Whatever organizations work on static public IPs. So what do we need to do? Then we go for port address translation over the same public IP over different ports. Port, I can host an application. How many ports are there? 64K ports. Proxy server. Now this is similar, but NATing is done when we are hosting some application. Suppose I am browsing data and I have my organization has 1,000 users as an example. Everybody cannot be NATed and publicly. Then what will I do to protect my internal user? I use a proxy server. So that it is over one IP, everybody is connected, but my proxy server knows who is connecting to which site. That is, it is acting as a proxy to the internal client. That is called as a proxy server. Next, intrusion detection. Okay, here what we do is in our firewall we have told at that particular layer, if any malicious, I should have an intelligence in the firewall. So what will it do here? It will have a lookup table of all the malicious IPs in the world. Now, what happens when bad people are trying to communicate or they form a group? Good people also they exchange information. Okay, this IP x.x.1 is a malicious IP. So what we will do? If any communication is initiated with some x.x.1, block it in the firewall. Okay, identify it is a malicious. That is called as intrusion detection. So initially technology when evolved, it started detecting. Next, what was understood? Detection itself is of no use. So I need to prevent it. That is called as IPS. So how does it do it? I should have a priori information whether that public IP or IP from which I am trying to get a communication is a good one or a bad one. What is its reputation? For example, if somebody of you want to take a loan, I don't know you if you are students, then not yet itself. Something called as CIBIL score is there. What does it do? It gives a reputation of your credit. Reputation of each web IP is also maintained. If I am connecting to my external world over a malicious IP, I am trying to do all hacking into everybody. Then all the good people will identify this IP is always doing bad, so his reputation is bad. From there, if I try to do a good connection, also I will be rejected. So they try to isolate me. That way, organizations exchange information about all the hash information, IP information, then domain names of all the malicious people, and they keep updating it every day, and that way they try to all protect us. And how do we some of the best practices? Let us see to ensure next network security. This is important. Okay, this is something till now or not we have seen. So maintain a control list. Who should connect, who should not connect. Zero trust. Don't trust anything. Don't trust anyone at any point of time. Suppose I have to cross 4 layers. At every layer, I should prove my identity every time I am crossing it. That is zero trust network. Sandboxing. Mail has come before sending it to the internal network. First, clean it, check it, in a side network, and then forward it. That is called sandboxing. Email appliance, then data loss prevention. Data loss prevention are different techniques whereby suppose I have a malicious USB, it should not be connected. Then use VPNs, domain whitelisting. Just now I discussed reputation, centralized logging. This is something every enterprise has to follow. What they have done, okay, manually nowadays everybody is so much connected, so much information, so you have to maintain log for so many years. Okay, monitor and baseline network monitor. So this is the basic activity which we have to do, monitoring. Then physical secure network equipment. Physically secure our equipment is another important. Patch management, that is like our operating system is for things that for devices we call it as iOS. Every device has a firmware, so that has to be patched. And periodically, see when I see something which I have built, everything looks good. But if I get it audited, then only we will try to come to get to know of the tools. That is called as audit. Get it audited or assessed by somebody, so that who will test for us and give a list of all the vulnerables which are not fixed, and then we can try to improve our security. So these are some of the best practices which we can follow in network security. Right. Now having gone through, so from this we started our session with network security and protocols. We have seen what is network security, in importance of in security, IT security, CIA triad. Then we have seen the infrastructure we need to protect. What are the different what are the different protocols which we use? Two major protocols we have discussed in depth. We have seen the best practices, and now the last leg of the session, we will see some use cases. Okay. One use is drown attack. What is it? It is an abbreviation for decrypting RSA with absolute and weekend encryption. Okay. So what happened is, this is an example whereby, okay, what was observed is whoever, as I told, new versions keep releasing, and when an organization after new version was released, they updated yourself. They started using SLV, but they did not disable SLV2. So what happened? Even though updated software was available, but the unpatched, the older version which was vulnerable was still available in the system, which was exploited. That is the cyber security worldwide gave it the name of drown, means drowning. Why? And why did it happen? It happened because of still maintaining a older version of software in the system, though it was not being used. That was the problem. So what we need to maintain is, after patching, if any older versions are there, if it is not getting updated, file is not getting updated and the new file is generated, the older versions need to be removed. That is the lesson which we can learn from this case study. Then some more examples I tried, so that you may feel quite technical subject. Yes, what is the use? People say security, security. What will happen if we don't follow? I tried to spend some time. Now we all are connected for last 20 years or 25 years. Well, network internet has penetrated India for more than that time, and for more than 30 years as far as I know. And now what we are seeing is, let us see some recent examples. All are 2024. How? some of the worldwide. Ticketmaster is a worldwide. It's an international organization. In April and May 24, cyber criminals gained unauthorized access to their system. What did they do? They compromised. They took all the data. Okay, and they have put a ransom on the to the owner of the company. What is the loss? First, he has to pay fine. Second, all his customers' information got leaked. Customers will not be happy. Okay, reputation is lost. Money is lost. This is the risk. And in some countries, if an individual's information is leaked, he has to additionally pay penalty. This is the thing. This is the same case for all four scenarios, but these are four different use cases. Ticketmaster is a, you can see anybody in Google, Ticketmaster is a well-known multinational. Okay, it's a, like our Make My Trip. Next, Krispy Kreme. It is a food company. They were also attacked. Do you know when was it attacked? In US, 28th is an important day. They attacked on 29th. It was detected on 29th. It implies they wanted to cripple their services. And what did it affect? All their online orders were getting affected. Then next comes to the Rhode Island benefits system breach. This is where, see, Rhode Island's, it maintains an online system responsible for delivering the health and human services, benefits, everything. What did happen? It is like a public health system that was compromised. So what happens? All the people who are dependent on those public services got affected. Next, Australian banking apps targeted. This also happened in 2024. It was used by using a sophisticated global malware attack at Android users. They impersonated the recruiters offering fake jobs to deceive victims. See, nowadays, one thing all of us, including myself, has to always keep is we need to be very vigilant. Yeah, the malicious threat actors are like that. That anything they are ready to exploit. They have, whether it is sentimental, private information, anything, they want to target you and exploit and take money. Are some of the examples. This is the loss which has happened. Only four. It is, don't think that only this. It's a big industry. I will show you some of the numbers in the next slide. This is the loss. Global statistics. These are all authenticate reference. This reference is cost of a data breach report from IBM. So this is the loss which is happening. Cost of a data breach jumped to $4.88 million from 4.45. It's a hike. Skill shortage. There is heavy shortage of cyber security people who can handle the situation. It's a specialized subject. Maybe everybody will talk, but when you are implementing, you need specialization. Then insider attack. It is another big threat. That also has costed a lot. Then breaches involving stolen or compromised credentials, which took how much time it took to identify? 292 days. Means in a year of 365 days, there are scenarios where the malicious threat actor is entering your system, maintaining a low profile. He is all grabbing all the data, sending it out, and for the owner to identify, it took 292 days. This was one of the known longest. And let me tell you, there are scenarios where people even don't come to public and tell. Then 2 out of 3 organizations are deploying security AI automation. Now, artificial intelligence is something everybody of or you of are listening or are hearing. What does AI do? AI increases as it improves the capability manifold. That's it. You have to train it. Then something which took hours will happen in minutes. But it has to be properly. Again, a human being or an expert has to sit and do all things. But people are onboarding it. Okay. So these are some of the statistics. What are the trend? How cyber security in Q3 24 latest. Q3 means it ends with September. Okay. Organization faced an average of around 1900 attacks per week, an increase of 75%. Global security workspace, has become 4.7 million professionals. It implies the demand is increasing, people are hiring, so many people are cyber security domain workers. Phishing attack, whereby a malicious email is sent, that is over 75% of them are targeted, are phishing attacks. It is a malicious mail sent to you. You click on a link, then you are duped. There are different technologies there again. But this I had to cover everything. But I will tell you what is phishing attack. You are sent a malicious mail. Okay. That link could be a malicious payload, PDF, could be an image, could be a link or a URL. You click and then you get diverted to a wrong ID, or a malicious payload is downloaded into your system, and then starts the compromise. And cybersecurity spending, it is also increased. It has increased from 6% to 8%. Employee vulnerability, means our awareness is to still so much improve. Out of 100, 45% have fallen victim. That is why malicious actors are still uh, playing with us. Okay, but there are some success stories also. What does it mean? It implies these are some of the examples. Okay, where they have implemented, brought improvement in their architecture, and they could see the significant improvement. It's a shipping industry, a company, after bringing in EDR, zero trust architecture, and adopting AI driven, the incidents in their organization have reduced. US state election recent happened. It used multi-factor authentication, monitoring, audits, and they have improved the transparency, and there is no confirmed data breach. Technology, all your students might have seen very frequent hacking. They also try to improve, and what they are claiming is their security incidents have reduced. So that way, by bringing or implementing best practices, security can be improved. What did we learn? Finally, patching and updating is important. Education awareness, network segmentation, multi-factor authentication. Then we need to learn with how to respond to an incident, robust supply chain, importance of monitoring and verifying integrity, secure configuration practices, regular security assessments, access controls, and robust incidents. It's a summary of what did we learn today. But most of all these are human related. So that is why they say in this domain, human is the weakest link. And how can we further improve ourselves? Adopt quantum resistant cryptography, implement zero trust, update and patch regularly, AI driven threat intelligence detection, enhance IoT, Internet over Things, and endpoint security. So by learning from past failures and implementing the best practices, further adopting success security models, organizations can improve, can protect their networks and data in an ever changing threat landscape. Always remember, in security, you can never say, yes, you meet this, you are protected for 10 years. No, threats change. We also have to keep moving and update ourselves and keep protecting ourselves. That is what proactive security measures, proactiveness, continuous improvement, collaboration and information sharing, and adaptation to modern threats. Thank you all. Yes, sir, I am done. Does SSL ensure? Sir, as I told, secure communication over the internet. So first, before that, your second part of the question is more preliminary. See, what happens is which port are we using? See, always communication happens over port. There are 64K ports. So those ports, the configuration behind it is important. So HTTPS uses 80 with the secure communication. So HTTP does not use this SSL-TLS, whereas HTTPS is communication using SSL-TLS. So what are we doing? I am trying, for example, I am A and you are B. I am trying to communicate over you over a channel or a port, which I am saying is more secure. That is HTTP with SSL. SSL latest is TLS. So that is how it ensures that we are more protected. Why? We have seen in TLS, there are different configuration parameters which ensure that that data which is, whether I am speaking to you, my video, my data which I am transferring, all these are more protected. So it reaches you in a secure way, and the chances of tampering it in between is less. That is why HTTP is preferred over HTTP, and SSL TLS implementations are helping in improved protection. What is IPsec? We have seen in generally in VPN communications. Generally in VPN communications, we have seen tunneling. That is where IP security. This is the second use case which we have discussed in detail. See, this is where it in VPN establishments, IPsec will happen in ensuring. These are two different use cases. What you have asked is, once you understand between you are hosting a web server. I am a client connecting. If I connect over port 443, that is my connection using it is a, I am trying to get data from the web server using some TLS 1.3. It is a more secure way of using a combination. Similarly, if I am connected, we have established a connection between your PC and my PC, and in this I use IPsec. So the encryption algorithms which I use are more secure and ensure that the communication channel established is secure. So that way, what happens is, see, when we are in common individual, it does not matter. So, but once you have fame, once you are an organization, enterprise, so people will be interested in what they are doing. People will be, some for fun sake would like to penetrate and say that I have breached. See, this all data of their organization. I would like to show and get name. So that is why, to protect ourselves, these all are required. And since we are living in an internet connected world, that whether you like it or not, what happens is you are under threat. You are a good person, but somebody may be interested in disturbing you. So that is now next question I would take. How we protect SSH protocol? SSH shell protocol from cyber security. Madam, they have versions. That is where, if you see the heartbeat, the versions which you use, they you there some standards. It was not known for decades. Everybody thought SSH was secure. Then later a vulnerability was found, which was a 0-day vulnerability, and the malicious actor did not leak it quickly. Neither the developers of SSH could uh, release it. So what they did it. Then what we have to use is by strengthening the configuration. For example, suppose we are using a SFTP service. What does SSH do? SFTP uses SSH protocol. In that, there are many configuration parameters. If you are a Linux user, definitely you are a Linux user, so you have used over SSH. If you see the configuration file, what we ensure that in SSH, when you are hosting a service, the outsider should not be able to enter. So such we will ensure that all the parameters, configuration file we need to take care. That is where we will do it. But above that, because otherwise, if alternate to SSH is SSH uses port 22, FTP uses port 990, but there also there are risks. So similar things are there, but there is a key exchange there. But this is more easy and more protected. Why? Because the way the protocol has been written, it is more secure currently. So SSH, and by fine tuning the parameters, we ensure the security of SSH. If you use plain SSH, it is not. Your system will be accessible to whole world outside and do it. Therefore, you have to block those. How do you do it? In the SSH configuration file, it will be available. Then the third one, sir, why does the OSI model use both logical IP and physical MAC addressing? And how does these addresses work together to ensure data reaches the current? Right. These are two different things actually. See, MAC is a physical identity of the address. Okay. So MAC is related with your hardware. IP is related with your external. You have rightly told logical IP. Now, since that logical IP, when it was invented, it was thought that 48-bit would be sufficient, which is IPv4, which is not sufficient now. So we are moving towards IPv6. Now, why MAC? MAC will always keep a mapping of from which device where it is everything, even the hardware manufacturer information will be available. So MAC is used. So, but MAC is not used externally. So the earlier people who have developed our protocol, okay, IP protocol, they have used MAC for internally between the switch and the device. And once from switch, we are going to the external, crossing the router or the firewall. Then comes the IP. System has IP, which is used for the network port, but that particular port backend has a MAC address. That is where lower level, it is MAC address level communication. Basically, you can tell that what happens is when anything was developed initially, MAC level of communication is very cumbersome. To make it easy, you went for a logical IP addressing, nothing more than. But every MAC is unique. You can remember, just like the IP. What is the difference between a stateful and a stateless firewall? Yes, stateless firewall will not check anything. Packet is coming based on your rule, it will keep coming. Even if if as per a rule that malicious IP is allowed, data packet will reach inside. Stateful firewall which will check the data inside. So it will take pause some more time. It needs more intelligence. That is a stateful firewall. When will I use, in which use case? All high end. Suppose I am at home, I want to simple level of protection. I will use a stateless firewall. I'm an enterprise. I want to protect my system. My system has 1,000 people, more people I want to protect. Definitely I have to go for state. And how can AI and machine learning be integrated with network security protocols and adaptive defense mechanism for satellite networks? So, Shri, this question is quite good. Yes, interesting. Latest question, state of the art. But you have mixed many things. I'll try to break up and work it. Satellite networks, yes. Let me admit, countries are facing this problem. Okay. Therefore, they are trying to build mechanisms to protect their network. So, satellite network protection. First, let us see how we can build it at the ground level and then extend it to the satellite level. Why do you protect your satellite? We need to protect our satellite because if somebody takes over, you are lost the control over. So you need to protect your satellite. So that is. And then how AI and machine learning be integrated? See, what we are seeing is all these protocols which we are seeing by AI and learning. What happens is we are seeing logging and all those things. The threat intelligence detection and things will happen faster if AI and machine learning are. The learning is quicker, the identification is quicker. That is what we have practically seen. So if a human writes a script and it takes hours, using the AI models and machine learning, it is happening is in hours, which will quickly help us in identification the threat and mitigate the something which I can do in hours. If I'm in days, if I can do it in hours, or something which I could do in hours, if I can do in minutes, definitely preferable. So whether you apply AI and ML for network security, you apply it for satellite network communication, it is welcome. Please work. It is utilization of and building models which are adaptable to each use case. That is the current trend and current need of the R also. Thank you. Sir, I am done.
Okay, sir. Thank you for giving your value.
Thank you for the participants who are there for being patiently listening. This subject is quite an important aspect of cybersecurity. Cybersecurity in the current scenario has is a need to protect organizations, individuals, and from a student or a career perspective also, it has a lot of potential. The only challenge is we need to continuously keep ourselves well updated. Yeah, please, sir. Thank you. Thank you to
Thank you, sir.
press. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.